Hi! Greetings from Austria in some mountains, some Alps. I thought today would be a really good opportunity to talk a little bit to you about a concept of freedom, which I've struggled with a lot in my life, primarily because I don't like the word structure or boundaries or restrictions. Those are all scary words to me, especially when writing like a calendar or having like a plan for my day. I do like organizing, but I don't like how it feels when I feel constrained in my time. I don't know if you have ever felt that way. But what I've come to realize a few years ago, I was sitting in a lecture of, I think it was Ellis Potter, if you know him. And he said something that was really interesting and it struck me. And he talked about how you can only have freedom within boundaries. Because if you have no boundaries, it basically leads to death. And so I was thinking about this last year when we were in the city in Germany of Erfurt, and I met a young student. I think he was from Syria, and he was a student of philosophy. And we were talking about, freedom and freedom in religion. And he's just said, I just can't. I can't go to any religion that would take away my freedom or my ability to choose anything different. And I couldn't follow like a God who would give me these rules and cause, things that I wouldn't be able to do. And I said, well, we were looking at one of my sons. He was 1 year old at that time. And there was it was like a spring or water flowing in the middle of the city. And I was constantly having to like run after him and make sure he wasn't like jumping into the water and drowning himself. And I talked to the student and I said, well, I think God is really like me right now. I'm constantly running after this baby, and you can see that there's walls around this water, around this fountain, because if we just let the baby have his freedom and run to wherever he would want, then he would kill himself. He would fall into the water because he wouldn't know that it's dangerous for him. And if I wasn't there, directing him and putting him in a good direction, and there weren't walls or boundaries there, it would ultimately be the end of my child. But because I love my child, and because I want him to do well, and because I want him to have life, I protect him. I make sure that there's boundaries. I make sure that there's guides for him. And this is really how I see God the Father, that he has set up kind of like guidelines for life, guidelines where life works the best and where we can really be free and we can be free to flourish in safety. And so I've brought this more into my life, just in the everyday things, like trying to do time management, trying to plan things, not being so afraid of the word restriction, because I understand that when I have restrictions, I'm choosing to say no to things that are potentially going to rob me of life, and I say yes to things that I believe will flourish me. But I think we'll talk about that another time. Let me know what you think. Have you thought about freedom? Is it a scary word when you talk about calendars or when you talk about boundaries, restrictions, limits? Tell me how you feel about those words. See you.